Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to my second ever YouTube video. If you haven't checked out the first one, make sure you go do that. We were talking about the Anthony Davis deal and some other stuff in there too. Um, and today we're going to be talking about the draft results, maybe some free agent stuff, and some trades that went down. The first of those being the Mike Conley trade. Mike Conley was sent to the Jazz for Jay Crowder, Grayson Allen, Kyle Korver, and two first-round picks. Um, I mean, there's not really much to this deal. Uh, the Grizzlies get a bit younger with Grayson Allen and the two first-round picks, and the Jazz are in win now mode, I guess, for trading for Mike Conley. So now that we got that out of the way, I think it's time to move on to the NBA draft results. So with the first overall pick, the New Orleans Pelicans, surprisingly, this must have been a shock to everybody, took Zion Williamson. Um, Personally, I don't think that Zion Williamson is going to be that great in the NBA. He's going to be good, but I don't think he's going to be the perennial all-star, perennial championship contending person, the person that's going to lead teams to championships after championships. And I feel that way because I don't in college he was able to dominate other smaller, less athletic, weaker players. But once he gets into the NBA, I don't think he's going to be able to do that as well. And he relies way too much on his athleticism to score. I think he's going to be a pretty good defender just because, his athleticism will come into play defending. But scoring wise, I do not think that that is going to help him. With the second overall pick, the Memphis Grizzlies took Ja Morant. I mean, what else did you expect here? They just traded Mike Conley. They might as well pick up their point guard of the future. Personally, Ja Morant is one of my favorite players in the draft, one of them. Um, Very good playmaker. He can score at the rim, can score in mid-range, can shoot the three ball. Um, he has had a bit of issue. He has had some issues with the turnovers. That's only because his usage rate was so high in college. With the third pick, the New York Knicks selected R.J. Barrett. Again, this is a surprise to nobody. Personally, I think Barrett probably has the most upside in the draft. He's a 6'7" guard that can shoot, go to the rim. The only thing that probably needs work is his passing. But yeah, other than that, R.J. Barrett, good pick there. With the fourth pick, I believe the Lakers picked for the Hawks here. I'm not too sure about that, but the Hawks took DeAndre Hunter. Um, very very high potential to be an extremely good 3 and D player in the league. Um, yeah, I mean, there's not much else to be said. He's probably the second best defender in the draft outside of Matisse Thybulle. Then after that, the Cleveland Cavaliers selected point guard Darius Garland out of Vanderbilt. Um, he didn't really play much in college due to an injury, but some drafts had him going as high as third to the Knicks if they decided to go that way. But he ended up falling to fifth to the Cavaliers. This pick doesn't really make sense to me, considering they already have Colin Sexton. But I guess if they want to run a two point guard backcourt, they can do that. With the sixth overall selection, this is where a trade comes into play. The Minnesota Timberwolves traded up to the sixth pick from the 11th pick, and they sent the 11th pick and Dario Saric to the Suns for the sixth pick. And with the sixth pick, they took Jarrett Culver. And all bias aside, this was actually one of my probably my second favorite player in the draft. He's a 6'6" guard who can defend, create his own shot, pass a little bit. He can do a little bit of everything. He does lack a bit of shooting, but he can work on that and get there. Personally, I like the pick. With the number 7th pick, the Chicago Bulls took Kobe White. This is just a great pick. I mean, they needed a point guard. Chris Dunn just wasn't cutting it for him, and they got a point guard in Kobe White. So, not really much else to be said there. with the 12 or no, with the 8th pick, Jackson Hayes, what goes to the New Orleans Pelicans, and pairing up with Zion, it's going to be a bit of an issue with the lack of shooters, in my opinion, because they're going to have Lonzo, who's a pretty inconsistent shooter. Drew Holiday, if they decide to keep him, he's a good shooter. Brandon Ingram's inconsistent. Zion is inconsistent in college, and Jackson Hayes is like never taken a jump shot ever. So I'm not sure how the shooting and the floor spacing is going to be working out there. But other than that, Jackson Hayes, pretty good pick. Defends the rim well, can run the court. Good pick there. With the 9th pick, the Wizards took Rui Hachimura. Now this was kind of an interesting pick to me, considering players like Cameron Reddish and just Cameron Reddish was still on the board. The Wizards really needed the wing guy, but I guess they decided to go Rui instead of Cam. Rui can do a little bit of everything. He has a good potential defensively, and he has been able to consistently knock down a 3-point shot. He can just do a bit of everything. Sometimes he's a little bit inconsistent on the 3-ball, but that's about it. With the 10th pick from the Dallas Mavericks, I believe that was in the Trae Young, Luka Doncic deal last year. The Hawks took Cameron Reddish at 10. I mean, this is a good pick. Again, not really sure how he's going to be fitting in with DeAndre Hunter, but other than that, this is a good pick. I really don't think Cameron Reddish should have fell this far. He's another player that can do a bit of everything. Again, his passing isn't great. His defense isn't the best, but he's a good ISO scorer. He can shoot the ball. He's kind of inconsistent in college, but I think he can definitely work on his grade or on his game. With the 11th pick, this is the pick that came from the Timberwolves and is going to the Phoenix Suns. They decided to take Cameron Johnson. Now this is a bit of an interesting pick to me. The Suns do need, well, they don't really need wings. I guess Cameron Reddish is probably one of the better shooters in the draft, if not, top 5 shooter in the draft. And I guess that's what they were going for. But, he is a bit on the older side, so there's not as much potential with this pick. I don't know what else to say there. With the 12th pick, the Charlotte Hornets took P.J. Washington out of Kentucky. This is a good pick for them. P.J. Washington, another player that can do a bit of anything. Finishes at the rim well. Good rebounder. Can shoot the jump shot. Only thing lacking is, he's a bit small at 6'8", but, Draymond Green is, 6'7", 6'8", too? That's not really going to be that much of a hindrance for him. So, I think that's a good pick by the Hornets. And then, with the 13th pick, the Miami Heat decided to take Tyler Herro. We also don't really know much about this guy. It says that he's a pretty good shooter, but he's not the best defender. So, I don't know. With the 14th pick, the Celtics took Romeo Langford. This is a good pick in my opinion. He pretty good scorer at Indiana. He didn't really have the jump shot, but I think he can definitely work on that. Again, he's one of the bigger guards at 6'6". He has physical tools. He's a good finisher at the rim. And, yeah. And then with the 15th pick, this is probably one of the final picks that we covered. The Detroit Pistons took Sekou Doumbouya out of France. This is the biggest project in the draft. He's an overseas guy, 6'9". He's got great wingspan. He only averaged 7 points, but Luka Doncic only averaged 6 points overseas last year. He has tremendous potential. He's the youngest player in the draft. He just needs to work on the jump shot. He just needs to work on everything. This could be the next Giannis type player. Picked late, big project, but it really turns out in the end. And then we're gonna skip a few picks here, and then we're gonna go to pick 20 by the Philadelphia 76ers. And now this is my steal of the draft. I try to make a prediction every year on the player that I think is the biggest steal of the draft. Outside of Bowl, obviously. But with the 20th pick, the Sixers took Matisse Thybulle. He's the best defender in the draft. He's shown that he can knock down the shot occasionally, and he has a role to be one of the better defenders in the league, if not one of the best defenders in the league. And he can also knock down a three-point shot, go to the rim good 3-and-D player. And then the pick right after, the Memphis Grizzlies took Brandon Clark to pair up with Ja Morant. This is a good pick. Brandon Clark, good rim runner, pretty good defender. He's kind of lacked the jump shot a bit, but he's working on it. Can rebound very well, and he's just good, you know. He's just a good big guy. With the 25th pick, the Portland Trail Blazers took Nasir Little. Good pick here. This is probably another one of the bigger steals in the draft. The Blazers need wing players. I believe they've just traded for Kent Bazemore. So they're going to be able to, maybe run Nasir off the bench, start Bazemore, or maybe the other way around if they want to give Nasir more touches. In college, he only played like 18 minutes a game. He made some mistakes on both ends of the floor, but he can definitely, with a little bit of work on his game, he can definitely turn out to be one of the better players to come out of this draft. And then probably the biggest steal of the draft in most people's opinions, probably in my opinion too. With the 44th pick, the Denver Nuggets select Bol out of Oregon. Now, what else do I need to say here? This is a 7'2" big guy that can handle the ball well. He can create his own shot. He defends the paint well. He does everything well. He's really, he's pretty athletic. He moves really well for a big man. And he's basically a 7'2" point guard. The only issue, which is why he fell so far, is because he is a bit of a project player, and he had a stress fracture in his foot. And for a 7'2", I don't know how much he weighs, like 230, I think. He doesn't weigh that much. For a person that height and that weight, coming back from stress fractures like that can be very, very harmful to the player's career. Just look at Yao Ming. He had the same thing, ended his career virtually. That's the reason that he fell so far. And I think that brings us to the next topic, which is going to be the NBA free agency. Free agency is heating up, ladies and gentlemen. We have a few players that have already declined their options and stuff, such as Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie. I believe Kevin Durant has. There's been some talk of Jimmy Butler, and Kevin Durant joining the Knicks. There's been a lot of rumors surrounding Kemba Walker and the Boston Celtics. If Kyrie does decide to leave, which I believe that he will. Kawhi has scheduled meetings with multiple teams, including the Lakers, Clippers, Celtics, and the Raptors coming up later this week. Tobias Harris has been rumored to be moving as well. Sorry if you can hear that. I think there's a plane flying over the house. Such as like the Mavericks, Kings, I believe, for Tobias Harris. A lot of news this week. We're a bit late covering it again, but I've been out of town for the past couple days, and I just haven't had time to make a video. So I decided that today would be the day. I think that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Make sure you go check out my other video too. And make sure to leave some questions and comments in the comment section. Thank you.